All right, hi everyone. So we have a little bit more of the time today. So let's go ahead and solve some SAT math questions. I'd like to focus on geometry and trigonometry today. But first, let me give you a quick walkthrough on how you could create your own worksheets through College Board's Educator Bank. All you have to do is head over to this link. Don't worry, I'll include this link within the post. And then select the assessment that you're preparing for. So if it's PSAT, select PSAT. And if it's for SAT, then let's choose SAT. And then I'll go ahead and select math. And then you'll be redirected to four domains. So these are the four categories that you'll be working on for the SAT math section. So there are two modules. Each module should have 22 questions. And the goal is to be able to work on all these four domains. For now, let's focus on geometry. And once you select geometry, so let's say you've noticed in your past practice test that you've been struggling with questions involving triangles, angles, sine and cosine, then this is the sign for you to have a targeted practice for geometry. And let's go ahead and select, let's solve 8 questions in this video. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now, all you have to do is click export. So if you're a tutor or an educator, I think this option will be better for you because it has the solution and the answers included. But if you're someone preparing for the SAT, I highly recommend not including the correct answer and solution, only so that you won't be influenced with how you're solving the problem. You don't get to take a peek and just focus on the questions per page. Anyway, once you feel like you're stuck on a question, you can just click on this and then it should show you the explanation on the website. So you can pull this up on the website, have the worksheet printed out, or just work on it on your own. It's up to you. Whatever works for you better, then just go ahead and do that. But for now, let's solve all of this together. Once you've selected the choices for you, then just click Export PDF. Let me just open. So let me open my uh, question worksheet. So I have this already pulled up. Okay. All right, there we go. So let's start with the first one. There is an difficulty indicator here. So 3 is the max and 1 is the easiest. So since this is randomly selected, and that makes sense, right? Because on the actual SAT, you will be working with different types of questions of different difficulty. Okay, for now, let me move my screen. It's blocking the question. And then let's go ahead and focus on Q1. So we have here AC is equal to CD. So that's just telling us that what is happening? My pen is not working. Okay, let me just click pencil. Comment. The pencil is not working. Hold on. Mm, Okay, perfect. So that's a glitch. It happens. So we have AC and CD here equal. So we're good with this. What does this tell us about triangle ACD? It tells us that we're working with an isosceles triangle. And for isosceles triangles, the base angles are also equal. So meaning A is equal to D. I'll write that down here. And we also are given this, a angle EBC is 45 degrees. And we also have angle ACD equal to 104 degrees. So let's focus on triangle ACD. So the sum of their angles of these three angles should be 180 degrees. And we also know that the two are equal. So meaning 2A plus 104 is 180. So 2A is 76. So each of the base angle has a measure of 38 degrees, right? Okay, now this part, this is a very important theorem only because it's going to make your life a whole lot easier for some of the problems that you'll encounter in your practice tests. Always remember this, when you're given two adjacent angles in a triangle, the sum of these angles will be equal to the exterior of the non-adjacent side. All right, so what do we mean by that? A plus B is just equal to C. So why is this relevant in the problem? Because I want you to take a look at triangle DBE. We have B equal to 38 and then 45 here, and then this is equal to X. So meaning X is just equal to the sum of these two angles, right? 45 and 38, meaning X is equal to 8. All right. And then as I've mentioned, you can just go ahead and click and then check if you got the correct answer. All right. Ready for the second one? Let's move on. And this is another difficult question. Okay. And from the looks of it, we have multiple overlapping triangles, right? So just keep that in mind. And also remember that the angles of a triangle, they add up to 180 degrees. And let's go ahead and label our figure. 48 degrees for XQX, SXQ. I'm sorry, I'm burping. I just ate my lunch. I had burger and fries, and then I still have iced coffee. Okay, so SWU, I have 85 degrees here. What else? VTU is 160. Do we have everything that's given, right? So we have four angles already. And then the goal is to find TUR. So angle TUR is of course part of a triangle TUR. So this tells us that we actually need R and T to find U, right? Because angle R, angle T, and angle U, that's just equal to 180 degrees. All right. So that's the goal. The easiest to figure out is T. You know why? This part here is a line, so they form a linear pair, meaning this is just equal to 180 minus 162. And that is equal to 18. And then let's focus on R now. What do we have here? We have this one is equal to, okay, this is equal to 95, correct? Let's double check. We have a calculator for a reason. So they should add up to 180. So 180 minus 85, it is 95. Okay, now focus on S. SQXS is also a triangle, correct? And we can figure out the measure of angle S. And all we have to do is to subtract 48 and 86 from 180, and that gives us 46 degrees. And now let's focus on triangle SRW. That gives us 180 minus 95 minus 46, 39. Okay, and that tells us that R is 39. And lastly, we have angle U. And all we have to do is to subtract all these values to find its angle measure. So use your handy dandy calculator. If you just want to double check your work, and then that should be 123. So let's go ahead and double check. Hold on, my stylus. There we go. 123. And we can check that with our question bank here. Correct answer is 123. Yay! All right, we're doing great so far, and I hope we can continue from here. And then this is difficulty 2 out of 3, and we're working with trig functions because we could see sine here immediately, and then we know that triangle FGH is similar to triangle JK. So let's just go ahead and label the triangles. FGH, I'm not a good drawer, so bear with me. And then F corresponds to J, so it's just telling us that the angles match up. Ay, wala po ngayon. Ah, wala po ngayon. Okay, I'm sorry. Someone was just at the door. Okay, so G corresponds to K, and then we have H corresponding to F. All right, there we go. So these two are similar. What does that tell us? The sides are proportional to each other, correct? So meaning we have GH over FG. That should be equal to the proportions of KL over KJ. That's what we know about similar triangles. And this will be important later on. Because remember, sine F is equal to what? Opposite over hypotenuse, correct? And the opposite side to F is GH, and the hypotenuse is FG. And what do we know? This is equal to KL over KJ, right? And what is KL over KJ? This is opposite and this is hypotenuse. So meaning this is also equal to sine J. So we've connected the relationship between the two. So meaning sine F is actually equal to sine J. And in fact, this is equal to 308 over 317. And again, when you're working on your own, just go ahead and double check your work. Okay, we got B. All right. And then here we go. Another 3 out of 3 in terms of difficulty. Okay, remember the adjacent triangle theorem that I mentioned a while ago? We will be using the same theorem here. But first, let's figure out the measure of this angle. They form a line, so meaning they add up to 180 degrees. So this one should be 70, correct? So let me just focus on the triangle that I'm referring to for a clearer picture. We have 23 here, we have 74, and then we have x. So we have two adjacent angles. This tells us that the exterior angle relative to the non-adjacent angle would equal to the sum of these two angles, right? That's what we've learned before. So meaning x is simply 74 plus 23, which is equal to 97. And that saves us so much time because if we didn't know this, we will have to find the angle here and then eventually solve for x. So that's at least 2 steps and a little bit of more of time for us to focus on more challenging problems later on, right? Okay, so 97, let's just double check our work. We have 97. We do have 97. Okay. 1 out of 3. So, what do we call these two angles here? These are corresponding angles. So if you are not familiar or you think like you need a refresher on parallel lines, go ahead and do it right already. And then what I want you to do is search for parallel lines worksheet. There should be tons of worksheets available online just so that you could master the concepts because they're alternating interior angles, alternating exterior. It's really helpful if you know all these concepts already by heart. And one interesting thing about corresponding angles is that they are equal, right? So these two are also corresponding angles. Anything that skips an angle in a parallel line, they are corresponding angles. And since we know that they are equal, we don't have to solve for anything. We immediately know that W is equal to 170. And we can double check that. When in doubt, check the answer key. All right. And then let's move on to another problem. Okay, this time we're working with volumes and cylinders. The formula for volumes of cylinders, it's actually provided on the reference sheet. But whenever I have a student or I'm helping a student prepare for the SAT, especially the math section, I always tell them it's really helpful if you actually know these formulas by heart because it will be intuitive to you already. And it will help you because you don't have to go through the reference sheet over and over again. So I highly recommend memorizing these formulas. Get used to solving for the volumes. Know this by heart before the SAT. Okay, and what do we know about cylinders? Pi, the volume is just equal to pi r squared times height. Imagine a circle on top of each number of circles, and that's how you have the volume. So meaning it's just area, base area times height. Okay, so now we're looking for if the height of the cylinder is 5, what is the radius of cylinder? So we're looking for the radius, and then we have a height that is 5 units long. So for problems like this, let's just try to fill in the formula with as much given as we can. All right, and then try to simplify this. 45 pi is equal to 5 pi r squared. We can divide both sides by 5 pi since it's a common factor. So meaning r is equal to 3. The reason why I'm not including -3 is because of the fact that we're working with a cylinder and measurements can never be negative. So we have, and as you can see, it's not part of the choices, so that really makes sense, right? Let's go ahead and check if we got the right answer. Okay, correct answer is A. Okay, so that's all based from the first 6 questions I think that we've been working on, right? It really helps to fill in the figure or try to take note of all the given before answering and taking a step back to understand what we're looking for. Okay, so here's square has side lengths that are 166 times the side lengths of square B. So if I'm to draw a square, let's pretend that this is a square. We have a smaller square B here. Let's say its side length is x. This tells us that square A has a side length of 166x, correct? Okay, and then it's telling us that the area of square A is k times the area of square B. So let's say we have area of A. So I'm just writing it this way. You don't have to really like be specific. I just want to illustrate what's going on. So k times area of B. And what do we know about squares? Its area is just equal to the square of this side, correct? So let's go ahead and write that down. 166 squared is just equal to k times x squared. So we have, what is 166 squared? I don't know, but my calculator knows. So let's go ahead and type that in. That's 27556 x squared is equal to k x squared. All right. And for this equation to be true, the coefficients of the terms must be the same. What does that mean? For the equation to be true, k must be equal to 27,556. And that's how we end up with our answer. And we can double check that by taking a quick peek, and there we have it, right? I really loved the question bank, only because it doesn't show you like the solution for the next question. So if you're only stuck with this problem, then it's the only solution that you will be seeing, right? And that's a good thing because you'll be working on the next question blindly on your own. All right, another cosine and sine problem. Just by looking at these terms. We're looking for cosine S. We know this. And we also know that R and S add up to 90 degrees. What does that tell us? R plus S is equal to 90 degrees, correct? Well, what I can do is also write 90 minus R, or R is equal to 90 minus S. Okay, meaning they're complementary. So there's an interesting property with sine and cosine, and I really recommend knowing this by heart before the SAT, because most of the trig questions when it comes to trig falls down to this uh, co-function property. We call them co-functions, and this tells us that the cosine of theta is just equal to the sine of its complementary angle. So that's 90 minus theta. And you can check that with special angles. So I challenge you to do this on your own. Maybe after this video, go ahead and try different angles just to prove these two co-function properties. And this also applies to secant and cosecant, tangent and cotangent. So sine, but more often than not in SAT, we're working with sine and cosine. Okay, so keep that in mind. Keep this in mind. Most of my students, usually on their first or first or second session, they don't know this formula or they have forgotten about this formula, and it's really important to drill this in as soon as you can, okay? Because it's going to help you. Okay, and why is this relevant in our problem? We have sine r. So how do we write sine r in terms of its co-function cosine? Sine r is just equal to cosine 90 minus s. And then why don't we do why don't we rewrite this as well? Cosine s. So this is just an example, and this is what we're looking for. Meaning cosine s is just equal to the sine of its complementary angle. And we know that that's 90 minus. So meaning, okay, someone is calling me. Let me just pause my recording and I'll be back very soon. So let me just review what we have so far. Uh-huh, uh-huh, okay. Okay, so let me just fix this quickly. My husband just called me to make sure that I already ate my lunch, which I already did, as I mentioned. He just called in to check if I'm all good. Okay, so let me just rewrite this. I'm so sorry, I made a mistake, and it's a good thing my husband called because I had a time to take a pause and look at my solution. Okay, we have this. Are we good? And you understand why sine r is just cosine 90 minus r? Because we're working with the complement of r. Okay, now that everything's fixed. And what do we know about 90 minus s? This is just equal to r, correct? And we have sine r here. So meaning cosine s is just equal to sine r. And that gives us square root of 15 over 4, meaning our answer should be square root of 15 over 4. Let me just check that out. There we go. It is correct. So it's B. So these are just 8 questions. And as you can see, let us just go back to the whole thing. So we have 153 questions just under geometry and trigonometry. So if you don't have access to prep books or it's just too much already with all the information out there. You can start with the question bank and try to finish everything here as part of your practice. It also, as I've shown you a while ago, it also has practice questions for ERWB, the reading and writing. So you have a lot of questions that are free and accessible for everyone. And if you need anything else, more resources, don't hesitate to reach out to me via email. I also have a subreddit. It's SAT Math. I'll go ahead and link that as well. Feel free to post any questions that you're struggling with, of course, in math. And then if you want more resources, both English and math, actually have a lot of them. Just feel free to reach out, send me an email, or DM me via Reddit or Quora, wherever you're finding me or finding this video, and I'll be happy to send them out for free. All right, I hope this helps you, and good luck with your prep time. Feel free to reach out, okay? Bye bye.